Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts,
Archlector George,
and Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We continue our coverage of Last Argument of Kings, the third book in the original trilogy. For this episode, we'll be covering Beloved of the Moon and Flowers and Plaudits. So, let's get started. As usual, we gotta, continuously thank you all, the audience, for your support. Y'all. Right. Thank you for being such a, fun group of people, I would say. Right, guys?
Yeah, everyone's very supportive.
Mm-hmm. So supportive. So let's move on into our first segment, which is Best Meme of the Week. George, go ahead.
And it's Tamil Bor again with his new account. You got to give somebody else. You got to give somebody else a chance, mate. Come on.
Well, Tamil Bor returned.
Tamil Bor returned.
Well, with the new account.
Yeah, with his new account. It's still the same guy though. We know it. But I've just got to give an honourable mention to Your Words Won't Save You as well, with this very funny, First Law themed Reddit front page with all the different things on there. I think that's absolutely hilarious. I think somebody was talking about that earlier as well. But that's honourable mention. But the Tamil Bor one, I think it's Paulie from The Sopranos, and he's like, any king of the union that ever existed suggesting tax relief for the common people. He's like, you're weak, you're out of control, and you become an embarrassment to yourself and everybody else. So, yeah. Coming right at you with the references there. It's brilliant.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. There you go.
So, yeah, thank you very much, Tamil Bor, again.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for being the consistent hitter that you are. All right, so let's move on to our first chapter read-through, which is obviously, like we said before, Beloved of the Moon. And here we start off from the perspective of the Dogman, and they're in the north, and things aren't going the best, shall we say. Apparently, the Union has been trying to get around the set of hills that Bethod has dug himself into, and just hasn't really worked out too well for them. Apparently, Croy has tried a couple of roads and got his ass kicked twice. Polder just tried taking him head on and got his ass kicked. So Dogman's just watching the stragglers, come back, defeated, sad, forlorn. If you remember from the beginning of before they are hanged, when Three Trees and Dogman go to Ostenhorn, I believe, to talk to a Union chief, there was that one. He's the guy that recruits people. I guess you could say he's a recruiter, and he was a dick to them. Dogman sees him, being carried on a stretcher because he's missing one of his legs now. So I was like, what goes around comes around.
Some people do get what they deserve.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's fucked up.
I do like how it shows Dogman's good character, though, how he's like, he doesn't really feel like, oh, yeah, he got what he deserved. He's more like,
right.
Oh, I kind of feel that, but like I also feel bad. He's like, that seems a little extreme for being sassy just to, be severely injured.
And he sees West. And, West fills him in on just basically what happened with Polder's division. And so West says that Bird needs the Northmen to swing around, see if there's some way, like some, weak spot, maybe some area where Bethod doesn't have it covered. There's no way he can cover the entire north. And Dogman's like, oh, you can't? You sure? And then, it goes back to the crew. Sees Dow, Tall, Grim. Logan's like off gallivanting or something. And he feels
whatever he's doing, probably murdering someone.
He's probably, looking for fish to fish or something. I don't know.
Yeah, with his hands.
And
he's just walking around.
Like Logan just doesn't know how to use a fishing rod, and he just does it with his hands.
He's like walking around like near a stream, like he's like hunched over, his hands like clenching and unclenching, like I'm about to get one.
But before we get back to the gang, I like this sort of the way that Joe shows us that Bethod's really like on the back foot here, like he's running away, he's no longer confident, he doesn't want to meet like the full force of the Union army like in battle anymore because he knows he can't win that. So he has to keep doing this sort of like guerrilla campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like that, the way that it's like shown to us instead of one of the characters going, I think we've got Bethod on the back foot now, and then just moving on.
Right. I appreciate that it's that you're right, he's on the back foot, but at the same time, he's like nowhere near beaten yet either. And like you could like as Wes says here, it's very clear that he's had these hills prepared even before he probably came across the White Flow. So Bethod may have not wanted to get to this point, but he was also ready to get to this point in case it did happen. And and you're right, I like that they show that because instead of just like you said, he's on the back foot, but he's not beaten yet. Like they imply that he's now not wanting to face them in battle, but he's still kicking the Union's ass, but he's kind of locked in. He doesn't have anywhere else to go. So it's very well addressed the state of the war with only like a page of description.
Yeah. He basically Joe did a great job there. I agree. And so if we go back to this real quick, we see Dogman kind of fills in the gang of like what's to do, what they're gonna do next. They have 400 people. They're gonna mosey on over. That's the plan. And Dow kind of go ahead, Harrison.
I was gonna say Wes had asked Dogman and on behalf of Bird to see if they could find a way around the hills because they couldn't. They can't dislodge Bethod. He's too prepared. He's too dug in, and he can't cover the whole range. So certainly there's a way around. So
yeah. Did I not say that earlier?
I don't know. Well, when you edit, you can just pick whoever said it best.
Right.
We'll see.
I'll probably just leave this in. So Dow, after hearing this information, doesn't necessarily react favorably. He is actually annoyed, very annoyed, because nothing has changed. There, there's, how do I describe this? Like, he's just upset that it's basically the same thing. Bethod, you can't dig him out. The Union's getting their ass kicked here, there, and there. And then enough time passes by, the Union's going to get tired of this shit, and they're just going to leave. And then, Dow, Dogman, Toll, Grim, Logan, they're all going to be left, they're being fucked, left their own devices. And Bethod's going to chase their asses across the north. And it's just back and forth, back and forth. It just nothing changes. And then Dogman's like, yeah, it's kind of true. He's like, well, but at least Logan's back. That'll help. And then Dow's like,
oh yeah, totally gonna help.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. What does the Bloody Nine do besides just bring death everywhere? And then Toll and then Dogman, they're like, hey, remember, you owe him. All right, we all do. And then Dow, he basically says there's a limit on what a man should have to owe. And it's like, what's Logan been up to? He left us. He left the valleys. He's been fucking around out across, halfway across the world and leaving us alone to deal with Bethod and the Shanka. And then he just comes back and then, who knows what he's going to do? He's going to just murder people, switch over to Bethod. Who knows what they're going to do? What he's going to do at least. And then Toll tries to be like, because Toll and Dow are kind of like, oh yeah, we've seen Logan do some terrible shit. So that was a long time ago. Things change, and then Dow's like, nope. If you want to sleep with both eyes open, go ahead. But I'll be keeping mine, at least one eye open. It's the Bloody Nine we're talking about. Who knows what we're gonna do? What he'll do next? And then we just hear Logan go, "I got an idea." It's like, uh-oh.
Ooh, and Logan is pissed.
He's not even pissed. He's just doesn't Dogman say his eyes are like lifeless, and then he just he walks right up to Dow, almost like he says like the dead, as if the dead just don't care for a thing, and hangs his head to the side, which I guess it means just like
he likes to do.
Yeah, he likes to tilt his head all the way to the side or something. And then he says some real fucked up shit, right? When Toll's like, "Hey, he was just kidding." He's like, "Thought when I gave you the last lesson that you never need another." But
boy,
he's like, you need a learning boy.
Boy.
Yeah. Oh man. And then Dow's like, oh no, that's it. And like he wouldn't take that from anybody, not even Three Trees. But then all Dow does is he just smiles. He's like, nah, one lesson's all I need. Spits a little bit off to the side and then just walks backwards, still smiling. And it's like, oh no, this is not gonna end well.
No.
This interaction has so many like subtleties in it, and it's really well written out because we're made to think one that Black Dow's already had multiple outbursts like this, like where he's like, oh, I'm tired of this shit, and everybody's like, yeah, we're kind of tired of it too, and he's like, oh, we're all fucked, and everyone's like, yeah, kind of. But the last time Three Tree said, shut the fuck up, it is what it is. And now everyone's kind of like, oh, I kind of agree with you. And Dogman tries to point out that Logan's there. And as a reader, you're on the side of Dogman and Logan. And you're like, yeah, the Logan's here. He's going to help. But Black Dow says it, what he says as we come over time, he's not particularly wrong with what, with his concerns. And whenever he starts talking shit and Logan comes out, Logan is proving his point by the way he's acting to Black Dow. And then Black Dow doesn't do what he normally did before whenever he got talked down. Last time he got talked down on the little occasions by Dogman or on a big occasion by Three Trees. He always is like, okay, no, you're right, Chief. I'll calm down. He may be smiling and stuff, but this time he, as Dogman notes, like, yeah, he's going to let it go this time. But this is going to be the last time he lets it go. He's definitely not in the same mood as he was the first time, and it's really brilliant. The show because it kind of makes you think that there's no progression because you've already like a repeat conversation, but it is different in some subtle ways.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure. George, you want to say anything about this little?
I mean, exactly what you said to Harrison. Like you see the same interaction with Dogman and with Three Trees, and we see that Black Dow just has like absolutely no like actual respect for Logan in the same way that he does for Three Trees and Dogman.
Well, he likes Dogman and Three Trees. He likes
him. Of course. This is what I mean. Like, but the way that's what I mean. Like, just the way that it's portrayed in the same interaction, but in a different way to show us that maybe Black Dow might have a few misgivings.
A few misgivings is a good way.
It's a conservative estimate way of saying it.
Right. And so when Dow, like once he's gone and no blood is spilled and everything, apparently Tall is just like, all right, we're going north, right? Somebody said, all right, let's go. And then Grimm's just like, And then Logan, after those two leave, Logan just is standing there watching everybody. And as soon as everyone's gone, except for Dogman, even Logan's like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, God. I almost shit my pants. And then Dogman realized, and then Dogman was holding his breath the entire time, too. And he's like, oh, shit, I think I actually did shit my pants. And then, so here is where so like Harrison pointed out, you see Dow behaving differently through across these three books a little bit, right? And you do see the same thing with Logan, but here Dogman asks Logan, did you really have to do that? And then Logan says, I did, let somebody let Dow talk all that shit, then they're going to think the Bloody Nine's weak. And if they think the Bloody Nine's weak or isn't as sharp, then anybody that has a grudge is going to want to stab me in the fucking neck. And Dogman's like, well, that's a hard way to think about things. And then Logan just says, well, that things don't change. They just never do. And I like this part here. Dogman says it to himself. He doesn't say it out loud. He goes, true, maybe, but they weren't ever going to change if no one gave them half a chance.
Yeah.
And then he's like, still, you sure all that's needful? And then Logan's like, well, maybe not for you. You just have that thing. You have that face that people like.
I'm sure the murders had nothing to do with it. It's just his face.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two different like ideologies in the short little conversation, which is if you want things to be better, even if things don't seem like they do get better, you have to at least try, which is the actual right way of doing things. It's the moral way of doing things, the principled way. But Logan isn't particularly wrong in his position, but he's not even trying. Like he's just like, I have to be bad. It's like you're like, oh no. Like he could have came to Black Dow and said, he's like, you're right. I was that, but I'm better now. Or I'm trying to be, you know, and Black Dow may have been like, oh, fuck you, bitch. But, you know, he could have de-escalated it and be like, you know, he's like, you're allowed to think what you think, Dow. You mean you're not wrong. But instead, he just proved him right by saying, you open your mouth at me, boy. It's like, whoa. I mean,
Logan just turned into Dirty Harry.
Yeah. I mean, basically he did, you know? So. I don't know. I like that. I like that. It's a really good conversation between them.
Now I can't help but just envision Logan as Clint Eastwood. That's it. Yeah. So yeah, that's a very good. Nice little diatribe about like that, about the idea of change and people not changing, or could they change? Well, Logan, basically, we know which side of the camp he falls on, and then so we get a little bit of a time jump, and they're all walking through the woods, twigs and branches snapping.
Oh, it's so nice.
And then Dogman, takes like a couple steps. He's like sniffing the air. He smells something.
I love the way Dogman's like, he thinks back to when the last time he does this weird smell power thing that he does, and he's like, right. Oh, that's when we lost Cathal, because he didn't immediately just tell everyone to get down the second he smelled something odd. Yeah, he does it again.
Well, no, but he's taking his time. It says that he was double careful, since then, because wishing didn't help save her, but he's gonna try to do better going forward. And then Dow comes up to him. He's like, "What's going on? What do you smell?" He's like, "I don't know. Something sour. It's sour men. Like, what is that?" And then an arrow comes flying and then hits the trunk, I guess, that they were like right next to them. And then, so then they were like, "Oh fuck!" They took cover, and everyone was getting ready. And then you hear a voice goes, "Are you with Bethod?" I mean, you guys read the audiobook, so you listen to the audiobooks, so you're probably gonna have to help with these accents for these guys, okay? And Dow and Dogman, they're like, "No, we're not with Bethod, and if you are, you're gonna, you're dead." And they're like, "Oh, all right, that's good." They're not with Bethod. They'll never be with Bethod. And so then Dogman's, "All right, so show yourselves." And a dude, he walks out from behind a tree like a few feet away. Dogman's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, everyone just shits themselves. What the fuck, man?
How did they get that close? And then, then like dozens of, let's say, weird-looking men, as Dogman and Dogman pointed out, hillmen. So, who wants to describe what the hillmen look like? Adeptus?
They look like whenever you think of in the American mind of a fucking tribe of people out in the wilderness, that's exactly what they look like. I mean, that's exactly what it is. They got fucking tattoos and shit. They got raggedy clothes on. They got like furs, and they all look kind of dirty. They all kind of stinky, but like they also look a little fearsome because of that. They have the whole get up.
Not to mention the blue paint thing, which is the whole the old Pictish thing, isn't it? Bit of history there. Not the Braveheart bit, where they do that. It's completely wrong. I'm not going to go on a tangent about Braveheart and how that's all wrong, but
Yeah. We got that.
We got that before, like a while ago. I remember.
Did we?
I think we did. Also, for some reason, when I like read the description, like dozens of them, like streaks of brown dirt and stuff like that. For some reason, you guys ever saw the Wild Thornberries?
Yeah.
Donnie, the little crazy motherfucker?
Yeah.
I think of that. Think of him as a hillman. Oh. So we hear a big, great voice. It says, "Yeah, we're Hillman. We're proud of it. You guys are gonna have to help with these accents. I'm not gonna do them."
Hillman, we are.
You just sound
I'm
like a
proud of
pirate. Yarr.
He kind of sounds like a pirate. All
He
right.
does kind of. And for anybody who doesn't know, this is a textbook Dorset accent from like the south of England, the proper like farmer sort of accent.
Go on.
And I absolutely love it. It's not I can't do it properly.
Go off, sis.
You with bare thought? No, I can't do it. I got halfway through that and just no.
It still
Damn
sounds
it.
better than Jeff.
Yeah, George, you're the resident UK accent doer. You should be like having this like. You're
I
the
should have
expert
been
on
practicing all week.
this. Oh wait. And
Tell you what, guys. Next week I'll practice next week and
all right,
I'll show you next time. It's fun.
Thank you. And then so we hear that voice saying, "Yep, Hillmen, we are and proud of it." And then we just see kids walking up, and it's two. Like one boy is carrying what is it? No, actually no. At first it's a girl. She has a huge hammer, right? Then it's a boy with a shield, and another boy had a big spear. Right. Oh, because the boy with the spear also had a giant axe in his hands because the shield is on his back. All these tools, these weapons are way too big for these kids. And Dogman and Dow are like, "Is this a fucking dream? What the fuck is going on?"
I love that. Like, I'm dreaming. And it's like,
If you are, it's a
fucking strange one.
I'm telling you that Dow's comedic timing in this is great. And right behind these kids is a giant bastard. I don't know how big he is compared to like say tall or something, but we just know he's a big fat bastard. And he has a necklace of men's fingers, classy for Hillman, very cliche, I guess you could
It's
say.
all the rage right now.
I guess he's like fashionable. And then Dow's like, fuck.
Yeah, no, that's
Let's get out of here.
out.
Let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's go. And then
Back down
Dogman's like,
south. Come on.
yeah, it's like, why? You know him? And he's just like, it's Crummick if fail. If fail, right? If fail?
If fail.
If fail. And, and then Dogman's like, oh, fuck, we should have left. And do we want to like give some backstory? Or no, we just let this whole kind of like the backstory come out here?
I mean, we've heard about it before. I think it's in...
Yeah,
is it in Logan's first interaction when he first meets up with Byers and they kill what's-his-face, Split
yeah, Black Toe.
I think Black Toe. He mentions it then, I think.
Yeah, he does. You're right.
He mentions how the only Black Toe basically says something like, the only one who hasn't gotten, is Crummicky Fail up in those hills. Which is nice that, he mentioned it in the first book, which means Joe had some idea that he was going to be coming back.
Yeah.
It's great. And he gets into he launches into like this, I don't know, this weird monologue about like how him and the moon have this great relationship. It's been a long-term relationship. It's polyamorous, they each can go do their own thing. Crummick is a little bit nuts, it seems like.
It definitely seems that way.
And so he asks, who's in charge of these people? And Dogman's like, it's me. And he's like, you're a little man to be talking to all these big fellas, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm the Dogman. So, me.
That's me.
That's me. And then this is Black Dow. And then Dow's like, this is a strange crew you got going on here. And he's like, yeah, these are my kids. This one is Scoffin, the other one is Rond, and this other boy, I can't remember. And she's like, I'm your daughter.
After she's like,
Sen got too old and he didn't give him and he gave him his own sword, and Seth's too small to carry nothing yet. And I love Crummick's just like, well, that doesn't seem right. A bloody woman taking the hammer.
And you can carry yourself then, you bastard! And she fucking throws the hammer down on the ground. It's so
and kicks him in the chin. Yeah. And he's like, oh, that's right. Now I remember you. Isern. That's right. Yeah, Isern.
The smallest one gets the biggest load, eh? And he like says it like, oh yeah, that's just how things go. You know, the smallest person gets the biggest load. Stupid as shit.
And then they all start like offering up their weapons to him. Like, do you want the axe? Do you want the hammer? So like, do you want to go crazy in these motherfuckers? And then he's like, no, all I need is just words. We didn't come here to kill. And Dogman's like, okay, what do you want? And
he
then
says you're gonna watch your father murder some soon.
yeah, if things run smoothly, there'll be no need for access today, though. I like this. He's like, so no time to be friendly, just right to business. All right. And he's like, well, I came here because I woke up in the night and the moon whispered to me in the forest and the trees and in the voices of the owls in the trees. And do you know what the moon said? And then Dal goes, he goes, that's your mad as fuck.
You have a pretty way of talking for an ugly man.
It doesn't even make any sense. Like he's just called him mad, and that's it. And it's like, well, how is that a pretty way of talking?
And then he goes, the moon said, and he like whispers, he's like, you got the bloody 9 down here. And then we hear
as if on cue.
yeah, it's like Logan's just always in the shadows. God damn it! And he's like, "What if we do?" And Toll and Grim are with him, and Logan's just like, I guess he came up behind him, and then Krummik,
there he is.
It's a weird performance, I guess you could say, because Krummik is like, "Oh, take your hand off that blade, blood and iron before I piss myself." And then he like crawls towards Logan and like grabs his foot and like kisses it. It's weird.
Yeah, he starts like rubbing up against his leg. I love how Logan just goes, "Get off my leg."
And he's like, "That I will." And then he just like crawls backwards. It's like, what the fuck? And then you're like, "Do you know a thing?" And it's like, "Yeah, what? I know some things." He's like, I saw, like, basically Krummik says he saw him fought Shema, split him open like in half, and it was
for the pot.
right, and it was a lovely thing to see. And Dogman's like, I didn't think it was lovely. I saw it. I thought that was terrible. And then basically Krummik says that you are a man more beloved of the moon than any other, and I guess that means the moon likes Logan a lot. Like I guess in terms of death. What am I trying to say here?
What you're trying to say?
What are you trying to say?
Oh, I know. Yeah, in situations where death is a likely outcome, Logan just doesn't die. So I guess instead of saying he's lucky or things always fall on his side, Krummik is saying he's beloved of the moon, as in the moon is protecting him. That's his moon child.
Or
to
lead into George, your boy here. Krummik Yale has somehow been able to be the only person in the entire North in terms of a group of people, chiefs, who has not been conquered by Bethod. He found the crew completely on his own and also evaded Bethod's army. He also fucking woke up in the middle of the night, had a supposed vision that the Bloody 9 was there again, even though he would have no way of knowing that because Logan literally just joined. So how did they get there so quickly? Because the high places are farther up north. And then he, talks about how he's like seen things and how he knows what's going to happen and stuff. George, I'll just give this to you.
Well, it's pretty obvious, and we're going to be doing a video about this at some point, but it's pretty much my headcanon at this point that he's got the long eye. And there's a bunch of other reasons why that we can't talk about now from the Age of Madness and from later in this book. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that in a little while. But I reckon he's got the long eye, and that's why everybody thinks he's crazy, because the things that he says just don't make any sense, because his mind is broken from seeing the future all the time.
Yeah. But he is right.
Yeah, he's right most of the time, isn't he?
Yeah. And he just knows things that people shouldn't know.
Yeah. Like, okay, yeah, we can talk about that. Unless you want to say that for like the character spot or something.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We'll get to that.
So
We'll
I
get
think
to that.
the moon that he so is so vividly clear is his interpretation of that. You know, beloved by the moon, the other side. When he sees through the other side, it's how he interprets it.
Mhm.
Okay. Alrighty.
Maybe he just looks up in the night and looks at the moon, and that's when he sees it.
I also do like the. I think this might be a subtle joke from Joe here because the word lunatic literally means somebody who, well, lunar like the moon.
Yeah.
So like the fact that he's
funny.
crazy and he loves the moon, I think that might
That's
be
funny.
a little bit of an in joke.
That's funny. George, what's the translation for crummicky fail? Is it moonfucker?
It could be.
All right, so back to the chapter real quick. Crummick is like basically saying, you know, I hate Bethod, Bethod hates me. But if there's somebody Bethod hates more, it's you, Logan. and because, you know, you represent this we're getting the whitewashed version of history here, and we'll get to the real history later on. But he's like, Bethod hates you because you're proving you're living proof that anyone in the North can be his own man and doesn't have to bend the knee or tongue the ass of that golden-hatted bastard and his bitch of a witch, right? You know, and Logan's like, okay, and then he's like, so let's say, if Bethard got a little hint that Logan is here with the Dogman, Dow, Toll, Crummick too. They're here with the Union friends, and and if what did he say? Oh, that if Bethard had a chance of catching Logan and the gang all alone, away from the Union, that he would take it. He would risk, his position, his fortified position right now, in order to go and take down Logan and them. And then Logan's like, "You're betting he hates me a lot." And he's like, "Come on."
Do you doubt that a man can hate you that much? It's like, what?
Jesus. And then Cromwell says that if you combine the Hillmen with them, it's like they have 800 spears. They'll go up north, like they're gonna go into the high places, and then they'll harry the rear of Bethod's army, and that'll get Bethod pissed too, and then he's not gonna want to pass up on that chance, and then and then Dogman I think asks like, okay, so like say we do this, how's Bethod even gonna know about it? And then he's like, oh, he'll know because of the witch. And then Logan obviously has firsthand experience with the witch because he met her at the library, the Great Northern Library, when Bethod came with Scale and Carib. And so Logan knows who she is, and he knows from what Bias told him that she has the long eye. So she, in this sense, we're gonna have to talk about stuff because she only sees like future events, right?
Well, not necessarily.
Does it mean that she can see across great distances, or is it just like
it is intentionally left vague? I think.
Well, no, hang on, guys. Bias clearly states that like whenever they're leaving the North, that she knows exactly where they are. He says that as a matter of fact because she has the long eye. Now, the reason why, in future, why we may get different information is one on behalf of Joe on how his writing is. We don't exactly know what is seen or not seen. Number two, it's very clear that Karib is an absolute master of the long eye. So the capabilities of what it can do may vary from person to person, and she may have just that. She seems to have knows exactly how to use it. So I think she does know and can see quite a ways because she's able to see. Maybe she can't even see quite a ways, but she can see the future enough to know where people are going to be. So it doesn't matter, you know.
I wonder also if it's a proximity thing. Like, will she only be able to see like these events in the north, or can she like see what's going on in Midderland or Kanta? Do you know?
Yeah. I don't know. But I would imagine a lot of it has to have to do with proximity, judging by their whole plan coming together. Also, Crummicky Field knows that she's going to see, even though he doesn't know bias or anything. It's almost like he knows what the long eye is.
Yeah, coincidence.
I think not.
Well, it is pretty coincidental that they've been wandering around in the woods for all this time for what must be like 10 years, and he just happens to know all these things. Like, it's not like he's like snuck up and spied on Bethod's fucking meetings personally.
Well, he didn't Crummock say that he watched Logan kill Shamma Heartless? So maybe like Crummock's like nearby in the trees, like in, at a
Oh, he
distance.
just hides in the trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
He might have been there because we know the Hillmen do a lot of the ceremonies. He may have been a part of that ceremony.
I mean,
do we know that? I don't know that.
there's one other person, two other people. Issen does it twice in the Age of Madness, I think. But,
Yeah.
You know.
And,
Yeah,
and
but
Crummock Fail does it
And Crummock
later.
does it later.
Yeah, but Crummock doesn't shut the fuck up. That's why. And Issern's, Ricka's right hand bitch, so that's why she does it.
Right? Well.
I don't think it's a normal thing that like, hey, let's call up a Hillman for this duel to the death.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. Sorry, man. Sorry.
Not buying it. Harrison, he's not buying it.
I'm not. Sorry. I'm not buying this.
As is the fashion with our people, I, of the Hill people, will be leading this. Having tell us the same thing. Oh, have you seen any other duels where a Hill person does not lead it? Name it, Jeffrey. Name it.
Okay. Logan. I was gonna spoil something. Never mind. I'll wait. I'll wait. Anyway, so then Dogman's like, all right. So what if it goes? What happens if like basically everyone's questioning like, hey, so what's gonna happen? Like, say we do this and Bethel chases. Like, what? He's like, well, we draw him on this place up in the mountains. A strong valley. It's well fortified and it's washed over by the dead of all my ancestors, and it's a fortress in the mountains, basically. Yeah. Well, he didn't say it. Dogman asked him. He's like, oh, a fortress in the mountains, and then Crummock's like, yeah, a strong, high
Super
place,
secure.
high and strong enough for a few, super secure, strong enough for a few to hold off a great many until people, backup can arrive. So if we lure him up there, and then the Union follows along, but at a far enough distance. Oh, so it is a proximity thing. That's right, because that Kara won't really see them coming because it's so focused on the Northmen, on the gang over here. And then then just catch them between them. Yay! And then we have yeah. Yeah. So they're like, okay, all right, interesting. Then they all decide they have to talk on it. So Grim, Toll, Dow, Logan, and Dogman, they huddle up, and then Toll's like, "Are you thinking about listening to this crazy motherfucker, like witches and shit?" And then Logan's like, "Look, he's crazy, but he ain't as crazy. 10 years, 12? No, 12 years, 12 winters. He's been hiding and raiding and all that stuff. Oh, so much longer. No, so Logan has been out here killing longer than Crummock's been hiding. Okay, cool. And he knows about the witch. He confirms the suspicions about the witch, and it's like, you know what? There's a good chance, like something to try it. Like if Vethod doesn't come, then nothing happens to them. If Vethod comes, that means the plan is working. So, and then Dow's like on the side of like, let's do it, let's go for it. War is about taking risk. Fuck it. And then they all kind of like agreeing, but then Logan reinforces like, but it's your choice. You're the chief. Okay, what you say goes. and Dogman's like, oh fuck, it's got to be me, isn't it? And then and then he's like, all right, well, we got to talk to the Union about this. We got to let Furious know, and so that he could talk to his chief Burr. And then Logan's like, Furious. Toll's like, long story. And then that's where the chapter ends. That's a long chapter. What do you guys think about this chapter? Come on, give me your ratings. Go on, give it to me.
You first, Jeffrey.
Give it an 8 out of 9.
Yay!
Bam.
Why?
How'd you like them apples? Because apples. Obviously, because we get to meet Crummock Fail, this crazy motherfucking nutcase, and he's just going to be providing so much classic moments, in my opinion. We have Dogman just managing the crew as best as he can, and as effective as he, he's doing a good job, I think. We have Dow being Dow, right? We have Dow being the usual complainer, and then sparking a very tense moment with Logan, where even if this is your first time as a reader, and even now sometimes as a repeat reader, you read this scene, you get a little tense. Like I get like, am I about to shit myself? I'm in my bed. What's going on here? And right, and then you have Logan. You start to see the deviation of the character that we've seen for the greater part of 2 books, right? Because as far as you know, as the reader, you from Logan's eye and other people's eye, unless we're talking about when he goes full bloody 9, he's a very kind, understanding, empathetic person, full, capable of deep thought, and like I said, sympathy and empathy. And then here, but when he goes back to the North, he's just a dick. And you're like, what the fuck?
You need to learn him, boy.
You need to learn it, boy. Yeah. And then you're getting to hold on, is my connection bad? Because I see
No, you're all good.
Okay, good. And also, and twice this has happened. You got a sense of it in the previous chapter where he killed those 5 dudes and took 10 thumbs or whatever the fuck it was. He's very sneaky now. Like, remember he talked about it like in before they're hanged. He's like, yeah, this is what it was.
Stealthy.
Yeah, I'm stealthy. And then he was like crawling, and then he slides down and cracks into like a fucking wall. And the Pharaoh's like, you're fucking loud as shit. And he's like, I'm rusty.
But now he's one with the forest.
Yeah. And he's just stealthy. He's just coming up on people like, what you doing?
He did it 2 times in this chapter.
That's what I'm saying. He did it twice.
How long was he standing there before he got mentioned?
That's what I'm saying. He did it twice. Then we have the we see the effects of the Union Army trying to fight Bethod on Bethod's terms, right? And we see the effects of like all these wounded and dead. It's not going well. And we get this nice plan being put into action, and everyone's just like, all right, let's start another little fellowship quest, maybe. Yay! And yeah, so that's why I'll give it an 8 out of 9.
George?
Okay, I'm going to give it an 8.5.
You had to one-up me?
Yeah, I'm half up in you.
Half up in me. One-knuckling me. That's what you're doing.
I'm knuckling you.
Give him the knuckle.
But all the reasons you said, and again, I think Pacey really pulls it out. Like pulls out all the stops for this chapter. Like the voices are just fantastic. The confrontation between Dow and Logan, especially, it's just incredible. Like you say, it makes you feel so fucking tense.
Mm-hmm.
And course, Crummick Vale being one of my favorite characters in fiction, even though he's only in this book, and for 2/3 of one book, and he's one of the most memorable characters.
Yeah, true. Do you since you listen to the audiobook, do you also count like the like Pacey's efforts and everything? Do you count that in your score?
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting. Cool.
Why was I not supposed to?
No.
It's a bit late now. We're on episode 51.
Yeah. I don't give a shit. I was just curious. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Just curious. Harrison?
All right, I'm gonna give it an 8 and a knuckle as well.
You sons of bitches.
Same reason. I think it's really.
I'll put mine as an 8 and a knuckle. Yeah, goddamn.
Hey, Jeffrey, don't be a people pleaser.
Don't be a people pleaser. You're right. Go ahead.
Same reason you guys all said. I think it's really good. The only reason to clarify, since you guys, is the reason that's not a 9 is because I feel like it's missing one thing. But that's like I can't describe what it is. It's almost like the perfect chapter. But I feel like it's just missing like one thing, and I don't know what that thing is. But I can't justify giving it a 9. But it is one of the best chapters, I think, in the Last Argument of Kings. From, like you said, a character, a voice acting, like everyone sounds so distinct in this chapter. And Logan walks up, his voice just stands out. The way he speaks, and also even just the writing itself and the introduction to characters, and all of it. Yeah, it's good. Good stuff. Good stuff,
guys. Nice. I like that. Alrighty, so let's move on to our character spot. And who do you think it's going to be, George?
It's the old madman himself, Chronic. You fail.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be the little girl Isern. I'm kidding.
You fucking bastard! I'm your daughter.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so go ahead.
Harrison, do you want to take this one away?
Yeah, sure. You just love Chronic Fell so much. I didn't want to take it away from you.
No.
Well, we thought about doing his character later on because he is in it quite a bit, but we decided since his introduction is so distinct, it changes the game of the book because Chronic Fell introduces a plan, and they all say we're going to go on this plan. He's very interesting from a character perspective because he's got these kids and he's got a whole bunch of wives, and he's also a leader, but he's also fucking crazy. And it makes a very complex character. He's not, I'm just a crazy person. And he's also not, I'm super intelligent, because he also says things that are dumb as fuck. So he's very up and down, and it makes it to where he's kind of unpredictable, which makes you a little nervous, but also he's not out to, like, he doesn't have some kind of epic grand evil plan or something. He's just going along with what he thinks is best. So it's very interesting to see how his character operates through the story and how he reacts to things. It's both parts equal intelligence and absolute psychopath.
I mean, yeah, like you say, the man is cracked in the head, but somehow remains reasonably competent at what he does at leading his people. I mean, the Hillmen seem perfectly happy to follow him. So,
Oh yeah,
you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Maybe they don't even understand what he's saying. You know, like they're all, like I said, Donnie from the Thornberries. So
Yeah.
they just don't have a grasp on, you know, the common tongue or the northern tongue. Who knows?
And again, I love the choice of accent for Chronic Fell. Like when I read this, it didn't stand out. He didn't stand out as much as a character, but when I first listened to this audiobook and that fucking Dorset accent, which I kind of grew up a little bit in Dorset, so that accent is very familiar to me. And when I first heard that, I'm like, yeah, no, that's perfect. That's exactly what he sounds like.
Okay. Nice. Do you guys want to add anything else to the character spot?
I think we'll talk about him a lot more later down the line. I mean, this is just his introduction for now. We know he's a weird man. He loves Logan. He seems like the only person who actually does love Logan.
Yeah, but I feel I do want to make a quick note here, which is he loves Logan, but Logan, the reason he loves Logan is because Logan is, in his mind, a murderer, so he likes him for that. But also, I do feel there's a certain degree of manipulation and you know, like, he sees the Bloody Nine as a tool to save his people and to beat Bethod to get his revenge or whatever. And so he will do whatever and say whatever he has to say to get them to try to do what he wants. He's also crazy because no one else would actually fucking believe that the moon said it, but he genuinely believes the moon is telling him this is the plan. But I do think that his intelligence also shows through it too, because the way he says, "Oh, you're the only one who's ever stood to Bethod," talking to Logan. That's not true. Three Trees is the first one they did that. The Dog Man. Those calls follow not Logan. They follow the Dog Man. So I do think it's interesting that he goes about it that way.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Anything you want to add, Jeff?
To Chronic Fell's crazy ass? No. I just think he's fucking nutcase. He's a nutcase with a potentially magical power. Maybe that's it. But I mean, he, like Logan said and everything. Yeah, like he's not completely off his rocker, right? Because you don't get to, like, evade Bethod for years, and you know you're not an idiot. Yep. You might have a peculiar way of speaking, maybe, and a certain mindset or a view of the world. But I mean, if you're skilled, you're skilled.
And he forgets who his children are sometimes, but you know.
That's right, yeah.
After like the 10th one, I'm sure you lose track. So.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't know. I'll ask my mother.
All right, so we'll move on to our second and final chapter read through, Flowers and Plaudits. And we start off with the perspective from Giselle Dan Luther, and he's on his way back leading the troops that, he led over to the peasant uprising, which was put down with easier than thought agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's not feeling too well because he's wearing apparently his best uniform, which is, like it's stiff and just all these braids on it. And Baez insisted that he wear it. And Giselle's learning that's getting difficult to say no to this guy for some reason. And and it's a hot day. They're riding, at the head of their troops to Adwa, and Baez is droning on and on and on about history and how
it is important to remember the little people. The little people have little ambitions and are satisfied by little gestures.
Yeah, basically. And Giselle's just like, what the fuck? He's just like over here. He's just thinking about banging Artie. He's thinking about, possibly going and marrying her and living on a small farm. But then he's like, oh, but I'm a colonel now and different standards, blah, blah, blah. And then you just hear Baez in the background, Harold the Great always had respect for the common man. And he's just thinking, man, Artie got some great tits.
I love how he's like, he says he's learned to tune him out.
Yeah.
But
just lets Baez rant while he just sits there fucking fantasizing about Artie.
Yeah. But he'd also
and I love how he's like, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, George.
I think we're about to talk about the same thing, but it's like he's saying like he really likes Artie. It's like 9 parts witty, clever, fearless, attractive, and 1 part a destructive drunk.
After he mentions the standard thing too, as a colonel, he's like, "Yeah, think of her reputation and everything. What would people say?" And then he's like, "Maybe it would be better." He like regresses. He's like, "Maybe it would be better if they just continued doing as they had been doing." But that fucking imbecile Galacta is now involved, and now he's got to try to see if he can get out of marrying her. He's kind of walking it back.
Yeah, but he admitted he was like, Giselle's visits were not good for her reputation. And one should treat others the way others should be treated, as Nine Fingers once told him. But it was a damned inconvenience. And then Baez is like, are you listening? And he's like, yeah. Harold the Great. Yeah, common
Respect
man.
for the common man and all that. It's like, appeared to have.
Oh. And then as they get closer to Adwa, he's noticing there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people waiting for him. He's like, what the fuck? and then it's like people like they're like surrounding. They're like on both sides of the roads, and like a girl throws flowers at Giselle. He's like, what the fuck's happening? And then Baez is like, well, I imagine the people of Adwa just want to celebrate your victory. And he's like, what? My victory? I didn't do anything. And then he's like, all this for me? And then he's like, did you not save the city? Baez is like, did you not stop the rebels without spilling a drop of blood? And he's like, but they gave it for no reason. I didn't do anything. He's like, it would seem that they disagree. Just keep your mouth shut and smile. That's always good advice.
Baez. Not alarming at
all. I love
all.
how he does
go with it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, George.
I love how Giselle kind of does feel like a fraud here. He's like, oh god, like when are they going to realize that I didn't actually do all these things? But it doesn't happen. They just kind of like keep going, and he actually starts to think to himself, like, yeah, I do deserve this.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like passing. They're passing all these buildings and everything's like, you know what? It was difficult. It was. Yeah, I beat their asses down in that negotiation. Yeah. And so he kicks his horse forward, and riding past, he's waving. He's like, yeah. He gets up to the table with the closed council. They're waiting.
Baez backs off a bit too. I know he mentions that as well. Baez lets him take the lead instead of riding with him.
Yeah, and then And then he rides up. He makes the horse rear up, which is unnecessary.
And thrashes theatrically.
Yeah. The king is in front of the table as well. He's there too. And, Giselle vaults off his saddle. He approaches the dais, whatever you say that word.
Dais.
Dais. And and then here he starts thinking, he's like, maybe I can get another promotion. Maybe even a title. Ooh. And like what? Me wanting a quiet life not too long ago? I don't know. And then you hear, Lord
Luther.
Right, they're chanting his name and everything, and then he gets closer to the days, and you hear Lord Hoff saying, "Your Majesty." He's like, Majesty is sleeping, so
he hits him with his elbow.
Yeah, he's like, "Come on, Your Majesty," and then
just sounds like, I can't believe this is the second time this has happened.
Falling asleep on my big day.
Oh my god! And then he does it another time. Hoff is like, "Your Majesty," and then the king just kind of leans, slumps, and then just falls. And then everyone just gasps. And then Lord Hoff gets slowly up to his feet, and all the color has drained from his face, all the the alcoholic color, and he pronounces, "The king is dead." And now Giselle's like, he grimaced because it was just his luck. Now, no one will be cheering for him. And that's literally the end of the chapter. What do you guys think of that? What's your ratings on that one?
Oh, this is a huge moment. I'm going to give this one a 6. It's short. It's very, it's just the one thing. It's Giselle comes in and he has this massive inner monologue about RD, about himself, and we kind of see all of his character development so far, sort of just unraveling a little bit.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of conflicting feelings of what he wants, what he thinks is best, what's the right thing to do. Is he the better person now? All this up and down.
Yeah. And then when it's revealed at the end that the king is dead, he's just like, oh god, and he just makes it about himself. Yeah, I'm gonna give that one a 6.
There's a crisis of leadership over here, and Giselle can't help but think about himself. That's funny.
Yeah.
Harrison?
I'm gonna get, for the same reasons. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 9. I think it's a pretty good short chapter. It's short and it has a big event. But we've also, and I like that we get to see Giselle's back and forth. But yeah, I think it's just a pretty average chapter overall.
Yeah. Yeah, something important really did happen, but obviously it's a short chapter. Like, one important thing happened at the tail end of the chapter. I'll give it a 5 and a knuckle. So, yeah, it's pretty much easy peasy lemon squeezy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what about our community interaction segment, Harrison?
Oh, yes, of course, my lord.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see here. I was looking up Chromic translation.
I just looked that up as well. Apparently it means crooked.
Yeah. Which is great. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Somebody's pointing out on the First Law subreddit something I just noticed in the last argument in Kings by user Ravens Reach. How he's talking about how, and this is spoilers, of course, a little bit in the future, that Glokta is more devastated than it kind of. You can tell he's devastated, but he's really devastated. Whenever Frost and Severod are killed by each other and then by him, because those are his boys, and he remembers how beautiful his Frost's handwriting was, and there was his eyes and his ears, and he did what he had to do, but he feels guilty because those are his pals, but those are the people he could trust, and they both betrayed him. And he's not even upset that they betrayed him. He's more just sad that they died.
Mm.
What do you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it is sad, especially Severod and his birds. It's just He just wanted a bit of extra money, you know, a bit of extra pocket money to feed his birds. He didn't do that bad, but Frost is a bit of an asshole.
I mean, Frost is good at knitting. He has kids back at home. I mean,
yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, he was just trying to feed his family.
Yeah,
trying to get that promotion. Inquisitive Frost to the rescue.
I will say,
we're gonna have to talk to you to get answers.
Obviously, their betrayals and everything, and their deaths impacted Glock on a permanent basis going forward. Like, he'll never ever trust anybody like as close as he trusted them. And yeah,
there was one other thing that we figured we could talk about here, and I just thought it was interesting. Somebody talks about how is there like a Baez origin story, and like they thought maybe if in another book there was something else, but no, we pretty much get everything inside of the original trilogy, especially like in the last book we got most of his background. Mm-hmm. Some of it is definitely Baez's point of view, him being totally an unreliable narrator, but he is fairly honest. I think he's more honest than than you kind of think by the end.
A good liar tells as much truth as possible, eh?
Exactly. It just how his role in the story is probably off. But yeah, if you guys have anything to say about Baez's origin story,
I mean, we get a lot of it. We'll get the rest of it, at the end of this book and everything. I mean, it's pretty much well established, like what he did, right? At the time of the Juvens and Canadius,
especially when Yulway comes out and he's like, "Well, me and you have a different recollection of events there." Buddy.
Yeah, the order of how people fell is different than what you're saying, buddy. But yeah, I mean, the origin story that I'm interested in is obviously like from the time of his birth to the time of like him being trained under Juvens, and it would be cool to get like a little short story or something like that.
I'd love that. I'd love to see next time Joe does like a little book of short stories. I'd love to see it by as POV.
Yeah, well, not even. I don't even want his POV. I want Juven's POV. Like this little shit.
Yeah, it would be nice to see how Juven saw him. Like, did he see him as like as a rebellious son who was always striving for more? Or was he like proud of what Baez was, and then just like, oh, he overlooked his destructive tendencies? Like, how did he view it? Or Kal-El, like, did Kal-El actually, he loved Baez, but whenever Baez crossed the line with Juvens, that's when that was the actual breaking point. That's when he wasn't a brother anymore. Or what in the war made them spark up? Was it I would love to see a POV of the war, the terrible, horrible war, of like a little battle segment, and then like of Baez and Kal-El getting into a fight, even if it's from fucking Kal-Neil's perspective. I just think that would be so interesting to see, without having to do a whole trilogy in the past. You could just get to see a little moment.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That's good. That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support does mean a lot to us.
Join us next time as we do Too Many Knives and Fortunes of War.
And keep an eye out for us on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Reddit, and we have a website. It's circleoftheworld.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app that you use. And please make sure to rate and review this podcast as it helps. Thank you all again for listening.
The smallest one gets the biggest load, eh?